Serving Lawrence County on AM 1370, 105.3 Lawrenceburg, and Loretto on 95.3. This is The Legend, WDXE.
That's us, WDXE. It's time for Friends and Neighbors. The Friends and Neighbors Hour brought to you by Hood Company Real Estate, powered by Keller Williams. That's me. That's my little company. And my guest today is Mr. Jerry Brawner. Jerry, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's you've been talking about you coming for a while, and I'm so glad that you finally made it. We ran into each other last night at the show, and so you just off the cuff, I said, "Hey, can you come in the morning?" You said, "Yeah." I'm glad you did.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What you been up to?
Well, I've been working.
You're working.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Jerry does have a business. It's called Street Treats. He's got the ice cream truck you see at different places around town. Now, you don't just go here. Do you go other places as well?
I go anywhere that somebody wants ice cream.
Yeah.
Anywhere I can make a dollar, I guess.
Well, you have to make money to survive. That's the way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so you've landed that, and it's been a great thing for you, and a great treat for a lot of us folks who like ice cream.
Yes,
so
sir.
you have what kind of variety do you have?
We have novelty ice creams, like 8 different novelty ice creams, and then we have floats, root beer, sundrop, caramel and orange, and then we have what we call apple nachos. Have you had apple nachos?
No, what are those?
I'll bring you some. We deep fry flour tortilla chips.
Yeah.
And then we're making nachos, right? Deep fry flour tortilla chips, and that's the chips. Then we use an apple, green Granny Smith apple, most of the time from Duncan's Market down here.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we use caramel, and then on top of that, we put Butterfinger topping. So it's apple nachos.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a really good treat. It's been a very popular.
Apple nachos. That's pretty cool.
Popular. Yeah, and then the chips we use we deep fry and put cinnamon and sugar on them, so you get.
Oh, yeah.
It's like eating a caramel apple with cinnamon chips.
Yeah. Kind of a twist on an apple pie a little bit there, maybe.
A heart attack in a bowl.
That's pretty neat. That's neat. Well, I'm glad that you are doing that. How did you discover or end up getting an ice cream truck? How did that happen?
Well, we started. I always wanted an ice cream truck, actually, but back in 2016, there was a truck running around called Grub on Hubs.
I remember that.
Yeah, I built that truck, and it was too hot inside. Cooking, and it's just too hot for a fat guy like me. So I decided that we sold that truck, and it's still in town, and Russ Wright bought it, and he's doing a really wonderful job. Has delicious food also still. Yeah. And just built an ice cream truck because it's something I could kind of do by myself without having to have a whole bunch of people, hire people, and I didn't realize how much of a blessing that it would be when we done the ice cream compared to the food.
Well, we're going to talk about Street Treats more and
Yes, sir.
how you got involved in that and all that kind of stuff. But the Friends and Neighbors Hour is kind of the idea behind that, I thought, was to try to get to know people on a deeper level, kind of their history, their background. And I wanted to ask you your background, as far back as you want to tell us, as far back as you can maybe know your family history. Who is Jerry Brawner, and where did he come from?
Well, I was raised in Summertown.
Okay.
Born in Columbia. My parents, Raymond Brawner and Dorothy Brawner.
Okay.
Wonderful, most wonderful people you've ever met.
Yeah.
Fine, Christian, loving, kind parents.
Yeah.
I'm the baby out of 7.
I was going to say, you got some brothers, sisters?
Yes, I'm the best looking. My other brothers got the looks, and sisters got the looks.
Yeah.
Got the brains, and I got the looks, is what I tell everybody.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm the baby out of 7. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, some people will probably know some of your family. Can you name the brothers?
The oldest brother is Barry, and then Tony. Tony passed away in December. You might remember Tony because he worked for
I do remember
Southern
Tony.
Office Products.
Yeah.
We look just alike. Me and Tony look just alike. And I tell everybody, before he passed away, our joke was I tell everybody that he looked like me when I got beat up. But I miss him. Tony was a great brother and a great friend.
Yes.
And then we have Gail. Gail's my sister. She passed away about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then Brenda, and then Jenny, and then David. And David lives here locally. He lives down in 5 Points. He has modern machine integrators.
Okay.
They build robots, and
Yeah, I've run into David. He's a talented man.
David is a very smart man.
Very talented man.
Don't tell him I said that.
I don't know if someone wants to talk to you or talk to us. Let's see, because the phone lines are always open. And good morning, you're on WDXC with us.
Turn your cameras on, Jethro.
Well, they're supposed to be on.
No, they're not on.
Okay, thank you, man. They're supposed to be on. They're showing that they're on here. He said, turn my cameras on. Always on, always on. I don't know why. I think I'll send a text message for some help, but I don't know why the camera's not on. It's supposed to be on. It's showing on over here, but evidently it's not going out. So, in fact, no. In fact, it is working. Whoever that was just now, go to Facebook. Go to Facebook, WDXC Facebook. I'm actually looking at it on my phone, so the cameras are on. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe it's just something that he's not doing right. I don't know. Sorry about that. But I always look for help. You know, if someone wants to help me, maybe they can. But I've got us on Facebook right now. I have you on YouTube. I'm seeing you on Facebook. People are watching, so that's good. We are on, by the way. The cameras are on. Where were we? We were talking about your family there.
Yes, sir.
And David.
Yes.
Now, David, I guess, now, of course, I knew Tony, and I knew Dave, and I know David. Don't run into him a lot, but I used to see him a lot because he played guitar. Mm-hmm. Now, do you play guitar any?
I beat around on it.
Beat around on it?
Yeah, I can play along. When I'm by myself, it sounds really good, but when I'm with other people, they don't normally ask me to come back and play.
Well, I'm kind of the same. I'm kind of the same way.
I enjoy playing, but I don't play
I'm
much.
kind of the same way. So you grew up in Summertown.
Yes, sir.
And you're the youngest of 7. Now, your folks, are they originally Lawrence Countyans, or where were they from?
My mother is originally from Lawrence County, and my father is from Murray County. Dad was from Mount Pleasant. And Mom and Dad got together and got married, and I think they moved to, I may be saying the city's wrong, Niles, Michigan for a while.
Oh, really?
Had a couple of kiddos, and Barry and Tony and Gil, I think, and maybe Brenda.
Yeah.
And then they moved back home down to Summertown. Okay. And that's where they lived until both of them passed away.
What did your dad do?
He worked for it was where Stauffer was in Mount Pleasant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
the name
chemical plant up there.
The chemical plant.
Yeah, a lot of people did. There was a lot of people working.
He was an electrician, I think, and when he first began, he was a lineman. Okay. And then when he moved back to Mount Pleasant, went to work at the I can't remember the name of the place at the plant up there in Mount Pleasant. And he became an instrument mechanic. Okay. And that's what he done until he passed away. My mother, she worked. She was a mom, you know, a mother, stay-at-home mother. And then when all my other brothers and sisters got older, me and David was still at home. She went to work at Bailey's drugstore in Mount Pleasant. Really? And worked there for a long while. And then she made quilts for people. She had a commercial quilting machine. Oh, wow. So at the house. So she done sewing and stuff at home.
Did you ever help with any of that?
No.
No, I'm just threw that out there. You didn't sew any?
No, sir. No, I never got that talent, I guess.
They wouldn't turn us loose with a sewing machine.
No, they wouldn't turn me loose with that.
Oh my gosh. Well, so what was life like growing up, Summertown, a young boy, in your era, and your brother, and your mom's working there. So, what did you do with your time?
Well,
you went to school like Summertown.
Went to school at Summertown, but just we were kind of at a home family. Sure. Kind of a definition of what a real family truly is. When if you think of anything you could ever want to have as a family, it was that. It was like I never heard my parents say a cuss word. Yeah. I never heard them. They had patience and they loved us and they cared for us, and it was just like it was awesome. It was an awesome to be raised by parents like that.
Well, that's a great blessing, no doubt. And I've experienced that myself. And a lot of us have had loving parents who cared for us, I guess like every family, you have your ups and downs, but in general, a loving family.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
We done a lot of church. We was at church Sunday morning, Sunday night.
What church you grew up in?
Summertown Church of Christ.
Summertown Church of Christ. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, very good. So
Summertown
you
Church
you
of
learned to
Christ.
sing a cappella.
Yes, we did. We did. That was one of the things that our family did a lot. Was we would
sang.
meet with other families and there was a gentleman in Lawrenceburg, Joe Spann. I don't know
I've
if you
heard that
remember
name.
Joe Spann. And
I've heard that name.
He was a song leader at the churches around, and he would always have these singings. So my family would get together and go to these a cappella
wow.
singings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back then I wished it would have been recorded. You know, these days everything you do is on the cell phone or
Right.
whatever.
right.
But I'd give anything to hear that again.
You know, I've always enjoyed hearing a good congregational song where everybody really pitches. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to the musical accompaniment.
I'm not either.
But I do love to hear it when there's good, solid congregational singing out loud, you know, and everybody's in on it. And there's something about that's humbling to hear. I grew up in a church that sang that way, and I miss some of that old singing sometimes.
I do too.
Yeah,
I enjoy where I go to church now, though. I say that.
yeah. Now where are you going now?
Coppers Branch Baptist Church.
That's right. Yeah. Good folks out there.
Absolutely.
Good folks out
I've
there.
never experienced a church family in my life. Like, I would be lying if I didn't say like now.
Yeah.
It's incredible the people that you know. I didn't realize that. I'd always heard people say brother this and like brother Jeff or
Right.
or brother
right.
Bill, brother
Right.
Bill Adams, I love
Right.
Bill Adams,
Right.
brother, sister this, brother that. I didn't realize until going to church out there that that's really what
That's a
we
real
are.
thing. That's a real thing.
That's a real thing, you know.
Yeah, I grew up that way too. It was always sister so and so or brother so and so, and I still have that habit. I call people brother a lot. I had a lady one time. I said, "How you doing, sister?" or something like that, and she thought she had a daughter whose name was Sister. That's what everybody called her. So she said, "Well, I'm not Sister. I'm." Yeah, I said, "Well, I call a lot of ladies Sister."
Her name was Sister.
Well, that's what her daughter was. Everybody called her Sister.
Oh, okay.
So she said, "I'm not Sister," and so I said, "Well, I know." I said, "But I call a lot of people ladies sisters." So anyway, it was just it's just a habit.
Yeah.
I've got in the habit.
But
of
it's
doing
it's awesome that when I found out that they really are in Christ, they really are my brother and they really are my sister.
Yeah.
My grandparents are gone, and there's Brother Arlie, which please say a prayer for him. He's in his final days, but he's the oldest gentleman at our church.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that my grandparents had been gone forever, but when I found this out, to me that meant that he's like a grandfather to me.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it's became. You know, it's awesome.
You know, I can relate to that to some degree. You run across people who are fathers to you. That's biblical too. You know, the Apostle Paul said he was a father to Timothy.
Yes.
You know, and we have fathers in the ministry or fathers in the church and things like that mentor the younger men. And you and I are not all that young anymore. It's time for us to mentor the younger.
That's right.
You know, that's right. That's right. Well, I want to go back through some of your own personal history a little bit before we get all the way out. It's 8:20, and we got lots of time to fill because I've gotten to know you and a little bit of your story, but not all of it. And I don't want you to tell anything you don't want to tell or anything like that. But I think you have an interesting story to tell and a good life now that God has blessed you and put you in a position that you're in today. But when you went through high school, I guess, graduated Summertown?
I didn't graduate.
Well, let's talk about that.
Well-
there's nothing wrong. I mean, hey, it happens. So some wheels begin to fall off, I guess, a little bit.
12th grade was my favorite 4 years in school. I'm only playing.
That's it.
What I did is I have always been really stubborn, and I quit in the 12th grade with like a month to go.
Oh my
I don't know
goodness.
what happened. I went to school one day and I said, I don't want to do this anymore, and I quit.
Oh wow.
That was the first big mistake.
Yeah. Well,
First lesson.
we make mistakes coming up. So where did you go? What'd you do?
I went to work for. I thought I was really had hit it big. I went to work for a paving company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and worked for them for a short while until they realized that I wasn't paving company material. I was. I don't know. I had life messed up.
Yeah.
A lot of drinking, a lot of foolishness, a lot of sin.
Well, hey, I understand. And like I said, I don't want you to tell anything you don't want to tell.
I'm okay with it.
But,
People that knew me then.
But you were a young man,
Yes, sir.
and life was out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of temptations, a lot of things that you just felt like you had to go after.
That's right.
And life leads us in different directions, doesn't it? So
It does.
Well, take us on your journey just a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I don't want to be. It seems like that then when I would watch television, there would be advertisements of people that were drinking and they all was in new cars and they had new stuff and they were all smiling. But what I didn't see was what the devil hides. I believe the devil was hiding from me was where it would lead me.
Oh yeah.
And without, it just led me in really bad places.
Yeah.
And I followed it to the point where that's all that I
Right.
followed, and made me make a lot of bad decisions with my
Yeah.
children, with
Yeah.
my family, with my parents. But I don't want the devil to get a lot of glory for what he done, because I just don't want him
I understand.
to get that. But it led me to really bad places. There was times in my life that you or I definitely would have never thought that I get to do what I get to do now.
Yeah.
I was hopeless. My life was hopeless.
Wow. Now you did you stay in the Summertown area? Did you move off? Where'd you go to?
I ran.
Where'd
I
you run
did.
to? Where'd you run to?
I went everywhere. I went to Kentucky for a while. I went everywhere running from basically alcoholism, to tell the truth, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
And running because I didn't want nobody to know who I was or what I was doing, and it seemed that they always found out, and I always got in trouble. Always that guy, the guy that you didn't want at the party or
Yeah.
at your house. I remember I had a friend one time. His name's Felix Gomez, and he invited me. Was working in Nashville, and he invited me to his daughter's birthday party.
Yeah.
And then he calls me back, and he goes, man, I don't believe you need to come to the party. And I'm like, why not? Did y'all cancel it? And he said, no, I found out who you are. And that hit me hard, And
Yeah.
thank God he's one of the guys that mentored me back into coming, following my life back where it needed to be, and getting back into church and having some faith to know that God could pull me out of the mess that I had created.
Yeah.
And but it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. You developed some mechanical skills during all this somehow.
I think you heard, didn't you?
Well, I want to hear.
This is the truth.
I want to hear about
and
it.
Maybe people listening that I was a guy who got like the paving job. I would go there and they would find out I wasn't paving material, and then I would go to the mechanical job working on cars, and they'd find out that basically they'd fire me too. And then it seems like everywhere I went, I would get fired, and I'd always cuss God. Electrical jobs, plumbing jobs, doing gas line, everything, all kinds of jobs I got ran off from. And what I found out was I would cuss them and cuss God every time that I got in a bad situation. I was like Otis in Lawrence County. Purdom was the sheriff. They'd call my dad and say, well, we got warrants. Come on down. Dad would say, hey, you got to go down there. And I'd get in the car, or he'd drive me down to the sheriff's department, and they'd lock me up. But I got fired from every kind of trade you can imagine. Like, that's just the way it was. That's the way my life was.
Well, the Bible describes us in this way. If we are without God in this world, then we're sheets in the wind. We're tossed to and fro.
Driftwood.
Yeah, and And of course, you're making your own decisions during those times. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're doing what you want to do. And I've been through. I don't think I've been through the exact same things that you have, but I had my rebellion. Like a lot of us young men, there were times that I was far away from being a faithful person. We've all had some of our own similar experiences like that. But I think you've got an interesting story because, I've heard little bits and pieces of how you, went from thing to thing, job to job, and you learned. And even though maybe you didn't realize it, you were learning some skills.
Yes, sir. I believe in my heart that I believe God was preparing me for what I get to do today, because if all that had not happened from the different jobs that I had and all the places that I worked, and that I wouldn't be able to do exactly what I do now. All the things that I got fired from is exactly what the trades that I have to know in order to build food trucks and do what I do now.
That's interesting. It's interesting. God puts you in the fire, takes you back out, hammers you a little bit, puts you back in the fire, knocking off the stuff you don't need.
That's right.
Right. That's interesting.
I saw a caption in a magazine one time, Jeff, that said, "It is a guy standing on top of Mount Everest, and he was burned. His face was burned, and he had his hands up like he had made it to the top." And the caption below said, "Don't be deceived. 99% of people that get killed climbing mountains get killed on the descent."
Yeah.
And that's what was happening with me. I was trying to go up and down and by myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize the whole time that was happening, that what I was looking for and searching for was right. It was carrying me.
Right.
It wasn't just with me. It carried me through.
Amen. Amen.
And that's the Lord.
But you were on a path of kind of self-destruction, though.
Absolutely.
Totally self-destruction, and maybe didn't even realize it. And I don't think people that are in that place do realize that they're mapping out their own destruction.
Absolutely.
Chasing something that is not real.
It's not there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. Just a little bit of your testimony that I've heard in some of our Bible studies together.
Yes, sir.
I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I feel like I know your heart, that God has made a totally different man out of you, as he does all of us.
Yes.
Makes a new man. Takes the old man, takes him out, puts a new man in, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, tell me about that experience. When did the light bulb come on? Was there a specific day, or was it over time? You think God began to kind of massage your heart a little bit and make a difference?
I think that it took a while. It took a long while. I think it was like maybe a light bulb flashing.
Yeah.
I'd have a little bit of that, but then I'd go back to the old way, and then I'd have a little bit of it, and then I'd go back to just back and forth, like bouncing around.
I understand that.
But it's last year in June, I started back out. I was going to church out here at Copper's Branch, and something just happened differently. It was just like, I don't know. It might have been the church family that I was talking about.
Yeah.
They, kind of held their arms out and took me in, and I don't know. I don't know if I just got so sick of being miserable.
Yeah.
It's a miserable life. It's a lonely world when you're alone. And I don't mean like without anybody else, not having a girlfriend or a wife. I don't mean it like that. I mean alone without Christ is what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I had been baptized before, but I rededicated my life and got rebaptized, if there's such a word. I don't know if that word's in the Bible or not, but rebaptized, and things were just different. It just made everything different. I'm not saying that I fall. I fall short daily.
Oh yeah, we all do.
And I've had ups and downs since then. But it's like the guy climbing the mountain, knowing that now that I realize that he carried me through the valleys.
Yeah.
And now knowing that before I even climb the mountain, I know that I've got
You know,
somebody
something
to carry me. You know,
something I thought about as I listened to you and others that I've talked to, and in my own personal experience. When you have lived off in a rebellious way, you told earlier that you grew up in a godly home with a family that took you to church, and so did I. And a lot of us did, and scripturally we find out that if we learn of God in our youth, that somehow we don't forget it, and even though you may have wandered astray like the prodigal son, you were still a son. And you knew back there somewhere there was somebody and something that was loving on you. And I think about that. I think about the fact that, you and I and others like us had our wanderings, okay? But there was something that was planted maybe in your youth.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Planted in your youth that held you from going too far and going completely off.
I can't remember a day in my childhood that I didn't see my father sit down in the floor. He'd sit in the floor and read the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, for some reason, even in bad times, that would replay in my mind.
You'd think about it, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think about it. I think about that. I mean, that was planted in your heart when you were young. And even though you may have strayed away from it or that kind of thing, it didn't leave you completely.
He's never left me.
That's right. That's right. That's very right. Let's see. I'm having a few comments on that are texting me. Sometimes we get calls. Let's see. Bill Adams. You know Bill Adams?
Yes, Brother Bill.
Randy Fowler is listening and watching, and Jimmy Ann. A lot of them. Gary Hahn. There's different ones that are listening, tuning in. So that's
friends.
good. Great friends. Great friends.
Thank God for friends.
That's right. Thank God for friends. Well, so at some point you made this turn. God turned you around, got a hold of you, shook you out, and put you on a better path. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to get to know you. It's 8:34, and I want to get to how you started with the food trucks. How did that get started? How did that happen?
I don't really know. With the Grub on Hubs, I had just always wanted a food truck. I wanted a motorcycle cart. It's what I wanted, a food motorcycle cart for some reason. I don't know why.
A food motorcycle cart.
And I don't know if I've ever,
did you see that somewhere? Or?
No, I don't think I've ever seen one.
Okay.
I'm kind of strange when it comes to thinking up stuff. But I found I had an old truck that I had bought for $400, and I talked a guy into trading me my old Toyota truck that I had for this Sunbeam bread truck that was sitting in the field out here. I can't remember where it was, out here somewhere in the county, and I kept driving by it, and I thought, man, I'd love to have a food truck out of that. I stopped and talked to the guy, and he traded me, and that was the Grub on Hubs truck. And I had never even really been inside a food truck.
Yeah.
And I drove. It didn't have any brakes, but I drove it home. I couldn't wait to get it home. But anyway, got it home and built it, and just.
So this was an old Sunbeam bread truck?
That's what the Grub on Hubs truck is now.
Yeah.
And just it wouldn't hardly run. We just put it all together and just started reading on forums and Facebook forums and guessing, and just started putting it all together and hooked it up, and it all worked. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
We fired it up, and it's still running fine today. But believe it or not, the food was even good. I don't know if I've ever cooked for anybody really to amount to anything, but I had a lot of help. My ex-girlfriend was good with the recipes, and she still is. And
yeah.
Lori we worked on that together and got that thing rolling, and it took off. People loved it. But it was hot. It was hot in there. You'd be
hot
cooking.
In the truck, huh?
Yeah, it was too hot for me. It was too hot. So we sold it.
Yeah.
And, sold it to Russ. Right? You probably know Russ, don't you?
Russ
Wright.
Russ Wright. I don't know if I do.
Russ has done a fantastic job on.
So he's running the
he's
truck
carried it
now,
on, and the food's delicious. Like
Well, it's kind of a concept that seems to have caught on with a lot of folks around here. There's food trucks. There's lots of them.
I think it was the first registered food truck in Lawrenceburg. There was one barbecue trailer that was there the year before, but they were never. I don't think they were even registered. Maybe not even with the health department. But it's the first truck registered in town. And then it's funny, when I done it the next year when we come back, there was like 6, and then the next year there was like 10. So every year it's
just
once
grown.
people see
People
it.
like the idea, evidently.
I'm glad. I think it's a blessing. I'm friends with all of them.
Yeah. Well,
might be because I get free food from most of them. I don't know.
Yeah, you've kind of got yourself set up with that, haven't you?
Yeah, we do swapping. We do the barter system.
The barter system. You give them ice cream and you get something.
No
from
no matter what you trade for when it comes to food, if you trade ice cream for it, it tastes barter.
Taste barter. That's good. Well, they have the Food Truck Friday down here.
Oh, yeah.
Just below us every Friday with the bank down here at that big open parking lot. And people are there just about every Friday. There's always several food trucks there. And I'm sure you've been there a time or two, all that kind of stuff.
Brandy does an awesome job getting that together.
Yeah, they do a good job down there.
They do. They really do.
So where are you? So where are the trucks, the food trucks, when they're not at a place like that? Where do they go?
In Tennessee, the laws say you can park them at your house. So a lot of people, like my truck, I keep my truck at my son's farm and keep it plugged up. The ice cream truck is real easy because the food, the cleanup is easy. There's not a whole lot of cleanup compared to food.
Some of the others,
prep and cleanup on food trucks, horrible. And I just plug mine up at night, wash it out with a water hose, and bleach it every day, and it's ready to go the next day.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about the ice cream. There's no bottles, gas bottles, no suppression systems, none of the stuff that you have to have on a food truck. It's just freezers.
Yeah.
All you got to worry about is your ice cream melting. And that happens, but that's part of it.
That's part of it, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, so on a daily basis, I mean, is this something that you're doing every day, or?
Not this time of the year. I've got other trucks that I help people with. I got another truck that I'm building, another ice cream truck that I'm doing for someone else.
Okay.
But it's this time of the year. It's like the weekends wide open. Saturdays go to church, and then after church on Sunday go wide open. I've got a lot of summertown. I do summertown footballs on Friday night.
Yeah.
On Friday nights, so I do football games and stuff like that. We do employee appreciation, a lot of employee appreciation stuff to where, like, for instance, Modine, we do that some. Where all the employees, we go to the factories and take care of them with ice cream, for all the employees. It slows down at the end of the year. It'll slow way down. We normally go from March with ice cream from March until about Thanksgiving Day, which is kind of late in the year, but it's people are buying ice cream. They'll buy it. They'll literally buy it standing out in the rain.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I got some from you, I think we were over at Rotary Park. I'm pretty sure. And I had my grandbaby with me, and we were getting ready for the fair, our fair booth, and I happened to spot you going through, and I called you because you were going to get away from us. You remember?
Yeah, I do.
I called you. I said, "Hey, can you swing back through? Me and my grandson want some ice cream." And so we got some, and I think I ended up getting the orange float thing.
The dreamsicle. That's named after my mother.
The dreamsicle
Dorothy's
float.
dream.
Yeah, the dreamsicle float, which was fantastic. Describe that. Tell us what's in that.
It's 2 scoops of ice cream in a 20-ounce cup, plastic clear cup, and we dip them in the morning and get the ice cream hard in there, and then when you order it, you get a frosted. It's a clear cup. It's a frosted cup, and then when we pour the orange crush on top of it, it actually floats. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does it like this, but it's my definition of a float. If you buy something, it's got to do what it says it is, and if it's a float, it needs to float right in front of you. So the ice cream's froze to the cup. You pour that crush in there, and it floats up in front of you. And then we put whipped cream on top. But that's my favorite thing to serve of any food I've ever served because of what it's named after. Everything on the truck is named after somebody that's been instrumental in my life.
Well, give me some of the names.
Some of them are. One of them, probably one of my favorite ones too, is number 4. The novelty ice cream is Tony with my brother, and it's Tony is Nutty Bar. And so everybody comes up and says, "I want a Tony is Nutty Bar."
Tony is Nutty Bar.
And then we got Heidi's Bomb Pops, I was a foster baby, and then Dexter's ice cream sandwiches, Dexter's push-ups. That was another foster baby. Kyson's caramel macchiato float. That's my grandbaby.
Oh wow. Okay.
Big Head Sun Drop. That would be me. And I don't know why they call me that.
Big head.
Yeah, I don't know if I got a big head or little ears. That's what my brothers say. I think it's so much about. Some people say they should have named it Shrek because I look sort of like Shrek, but I'm not painted green.
Well, you got to have something named after David. What's his deal?
I don't want to have a drink called Lazy, so I
Yeah.
don't know. No, I don't know. I've got to. Yeah, I got to come up with something.
Yeah.
Got to come up with something for Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's been a special guy in my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All my brothers, my family. I'm blessed beyond measure with family.
That's great.
I got awesome brothers and
Well,
sisters. People who never give up on you.
yeah. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal. Never give up on you.
Never ever give up.
And had plenty of reason to, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
But that makes me not want to give up on others also. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's neat.
It is neat.
Very neat. You told me, I think, I may be wrong about this, that you spent some time in Florida?
Yeah, I lived in Florida for a while.
Okay. Hang on. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
Let me see. This lady calls. Good morning. How are you?
I was wondering if he has a city route, and if he does, what is it? Years ago in Old Hickory at my aunt's, and we're talking years ago, they had, it sounds like something similar, and we could hear that bell ringing or something, and I know what time they were coming, and I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. All right. She was just asking if you had a regular city route that you did at different times or
Not yet.
not yet.
I'm still trying to. I don't know what I'm doing. That's the truth. I really don't. I mean, it's like it's. You can basically get in the truck. Like right now, if I got in it and went to the gas station, you can sell ice cream on the way to the gas station. It's kind of that way right now.
You just sell wherever you end up landing, don't you?
Just yes, sir. That's the way, pretty much the way it is.
But it's not the traditional ice cream truck like you used to see when I was a kid that had a route.
Right.
You know,
Well,
that comes through
that's what
town.
it needs to be.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't have routes yet. The first of the year we were doing Thursdays and Sundays in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
But it's with the employee appreciation stuff and a lot of the events that we've scheduled. It's been hard to be on a schedule because I don't want to tell people I'm going to be there and then get called to go do a factory full of people on Thursdays or Thursdays.
Yeah.
So we haven't got designated. I think it would be way better because everybody would know.
You do
when we're gonna be
parties.
there.
You do parties too, don't
Yeah,
you?
we do.
So if we wanted to have a big party, birthday parties or whatever, we can hire you to come and have the ice cream truck there.
Mm-hmm. And what I found out, Jeff, is the adults when we do parties for adults, with floats.
Yeah.
And when we show up, if the employer don't tell the people that we're coming, or the office, we do a lot of office parties where we show up and surprise the adults at your office. The adults dance to the ice cream music just like the kids do.
Oh yeah. Listen, you may not remember this, but I live out in the country. I live out on Greenwood Road, and I'm pretty sure it was you headed to an appointment somewhere, and you were coming up our road. I heard you coming. I heard the music, and I flagged you down and pulled you up in the driveway.
I do remember that.
You remember that?
I remember, yeah.
And I think we got some ice cream for you as you was on your way to a party somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. It's crazy how people.
And that was actually before I knew you like I know you now.
Yes, sir.
But I heard that truck and I was like, "There's an ice cream truck coming," and it's fun because those of us that are older that kind of do remember when ice cream trucks were a thing. My kids, it was a big treat. So I was like, "Hey, the ice cream truck's coming. That's pretty cool."
Okay. You should ride with me sometime. Like if there's no way to describe to people the feeling, the blessing that it is to drive up on you don't see that many families together anymore. I mean, not like, but I tell everybody we're opposite of a divorce lawyer because we got families running at the truck, dancing and laughing and smiling. But it's to see that, to drive up on somewhere like yesterday. I went to Crockett Elementary School and that's having the swap meet and not swap meet, but the cross country, and there was probably 100 people there.
Yeah.
And when I drove in, I could see them, and I flipped the music on and turned the bubbles on. The kids love the bubbles too, and every one of them started dancing. Man, it's like there's no way to describe the feeling. I mean, money's cool.
Well, I guess the good thing is a fun thing for you would be everybody loves to see you coming. It's not like they dread you coming.
I think it's the truck. I don't think it's me.
Well, it's you and the truck. I mean, the truck wouldn't be coming without you. So so it's kind of a cool thing to know that when you show up, everybody's glad you're there.
Yeah, absolutely. At least I'm not being asked
Isn't that neat?
to leave anymore.
That's pretty neat. It's not like, oh my gosh, here he comes. They're like, oh my gosh, here he comes. You know,
It's
whole different
awesome
deal.
watching that. You really should ride with me one day. Just
I would. I'd like to do that. That'd be fun.
if nothing else, just take one block. You can ride one block and see what I'm talking about.
I'm sure it would be a great experience. I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna take you up on that one
I
of
hope
these
you
days.
do. It's a blessing.
Now, did you drive the truck here this morning?
No, sir.
You
I drove
didn't?
the Kia.
Drove the Kia. Okay. All right. Now, how did the bubbles come to be a part of it? Because your truck has bubbles.
I was just trying to figure out something different to do, and I bought a little bitty tiny bubble machine by hand that you hold by your hand, and we went to a birthday party, and I just held them out the window, and the kids was playing in the bubbles, and I'm like, that'd be cool. So I researched and found a commercial bubble machine, and it gets it don't use very many bubbles per gallon,
Yeah.
bubbles per mile.
Yeah. Bubbles per mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It don't use very many bubbles, and it's a big machine, and you can just fill the whole yard full of it. So
Oh, yeah.
we put it on there, and everywhere we go, everybody, the kids, the adults, they're all playing in the
Well, who
bubbles.
doesn't like see those bubbles? I mean, everybody likes to see those.
Started like that, and then I was talking to Brother Richard, my preacher, and my pastor, and I was like, it's got to be something that we can use to tell kids about God, or to tell people about God. And so he said, just let God reveal what's going to happen with it. So I went back out with it, and I told the kids, and I tell everybody now, the bubbles are like when they're coming out of the machine, they're like blessings that God gives us, whether we're looking at them and receiving them or not. There's more than we can count. The air is full of them.
Yeah.
And so that I went back to my preacher and told him that I was telling kids that, and the kids were liking that. They were digging it, but there had to be something else. I said, what else do I do? He said, just keep going. So the first time I went back out, I was at a place where there was about 35 kids at a daycare, and I was telling them about the bubbles are blessings, and how they represent blessings to me. And the bubbles were blowing towards the window where I was serving, and I said, do y'all have bubbles and blessings in your life? And they're like, yeah. And the bubbles was in front of me, and I smacked one of the bubbles, and I said, my mother was a blessing. And I wasn't even trying to put it together. And as soon as I said that, the children started smacking the bubbles, screaming out to God what their blessings were.
Oh, really?
So now we use that. I'll tell the kids, if you got blessings in your life, I like to thank God for my blessings. And now I get out of the truck. I used to not do that. I used to be scared too. But I'll get out of the truck and go to where the bubbles are, and I'll just slap the bubbles and tell the children that let's thank God for our blessings. So they're slapping the bubbles and screaming out Mom and Dad and the ice cream man and teachers as their blessings.
How about that?
It's really cool. It's
To
really
recognize God's blessings in our lives. There's nothing wrong with that.
awesome. There's many. No matter how bad things get, even when my life was like it was,
Yeah.
if I would have took the time to look around and I didn't,
Yeah.
proof is that He carried me through it.
Well,
But the blessings.
Looking back now, you see.
Yeah.
Looking
yeah.
back now, you see. I
Absolutely.
think C.S. Lewis, something I read of his, was talking about how that now that he was an older man when he wrote this, but he looked back and through his life and realized that God had carried him all the way from start to finish.
Absolutely.
And it's a little piece of wisdom that God's given you to understand that, right?
Right.
And I mentioned earlier that you were in Florida some. And one of the reasons I was mentioning this is, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but just in one of our conversations in the past, you talked about being homeless.
Yes, sir.
And so you lived a life of at least to some
extent.
to
yes,
some
sir.
extent as a homeless
Yes.
guy. What was that like?
Truthfully, I didn't mind it at the time. Isn't that horrible?
Really?
I mean, I had alcohol,
Yeah.
so that I picked that. That was all at that point in my life, that was all that I wanted.
Oh, wow.
Nothing else.
Wow.
And thank God for forgiving
Where were you?
people.
What part of the country were you in?
West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach, Florida.
I got in trouble. I was in North Carolina. Had a good job. I worked for race teams. Worked down there for race teams for a while. I had some really good jobs, and got in trouble. Put me on probation. Told me that I had to report to a probation officer on Monday. This was on Friday, and on Saturday I got on a Greyhound bus and went south.
Wow.
I thought, wow, West Palm Beach, that'll be an awesome place. I'll go there, because I only had $600 left in my name.
Really?
And I went to West Palm Beach, and when I got down there, the Greyhound bus didn't stop in West Palm Beach. It stopped in Palm Beach, and opposite of that. It wasn't nice. It was horrible. When I got off the bus, I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And I basically ran for over 2 years, ran from probation and all that. And then one day I was sitting at home, was doing pretty good, and got the door kicked in by the United States Marshals, and a bunch of them, and they took me back to North Carolina and locked me up, sent me away.
Wow.
It gave me exactly what I deserved.
Well, that part I don't think I knew.
Well, a lot of people don't. I probably shouldn't have told that part, but I'm ashamed of it, but
it probably saved you.
It did.
Probably saved you.
That's not when I really changed. That's not when life really changed, but it woke me up to some certain extent.
Yeah.
But it was I don't know. But now I got to say this: my children. I don't know if my son is a lineman. He's down in Florida working. He's been gone for 3 weeks. I miss him so bad I can't stand it. And then my daughter, she's listening. Megan is my daughter. Zach's my son.
Yeah.
And then Haley lives in Nashville. But talking about forgiving.
Wow.
They forgave me.
Wow.
And they're my best friends in my life today.
Wow.
So that's what God does.
What a story, buddy. What a life. What a story. And now you enjoy life, enjoy your family, and not only that, but enjoy people.
Right.
I see that in you. You enjoy people, especially young people that come out to and old alike that love to get the ice cream and see the bubbles and now understand how you've used those to mark blessings.
I found out that from being in not such good situations, that it's just like the homeless here in Lawrenceburg. Everybody talks about, we got so many homeless, all this. Don't complain about them. Help, do something for them. If they're strung out, if they don't matter, whatever, do something, because that person's one of God's kids too. Some of these people that are homeless didn't make the decision to be homeless.
Yeah.
I know one that didn't make. We know people that don't make those decisions.
Yeah.
You ain't got to give them money, but you can. I mean, rather than throw away the food that I'm not going to eat, just stick it in the car, and when you go by, say, "Hey, buddy, are you hungry?" They may see something in you to where their life will change.
You never know.
Never know that they may be delivering you ice cream one day. You don't never know.
That's right. Maybe getting ice cream from one day. And you can be, if I wanted my own food truck, you could help make that happen.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. So you not only have your own ice cream truck, but you've helped a lot of other people get into the food truck and help people put them together, that kind of thing. So that's kind of a business that you're in.
We're doing one now for a lady in Muscle Shoals. It's going to be Dee Dee's. I think it's going to be Dee Dee's Sweet Treats, and it's going to be ice cream. I talked her into doing ice cream. She wasn't going to do that, but she makes cakes and sells it by the slice.
Oh wow!
So she's going to be a roaming with the music playing ice cream truck and bakery.
Oh my gosh! What a great concept!
Yeah, so we're doing that up.
That's a great concept. Cake and ice cream. We can't go wrong with that.
That's right.
You may have to add cake to your truck.
I don't know if I'll ever figure out how to cook it or not. I'm not a baker. I'm a burner.
That's neat. That's great. Very, very good. So what's kind of on the future? What's are you just taking it a day at a time, or do you have some plans maybe that
I have some plans.
You're thinking on?
Thinking seriously about a store, a brick and mortar store in Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
We have mutual friends that own some places here.
We do.
Been speaking with this gentleman about maybe, I don't want to say too much, an old place in town that everybody used to hang out, maybe down on the square, to where we can have ice cream and coffee, and let it be a gathering place like it used to be.
Yeah.
Have a bunch of candy and.
Yeah.
But that's just.
It's a dream at this point.
Right now, it's just a hey buddy, let's do this together thing, and pray about it and see what God has in store.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I want to.
I had heard a little bit about that maybe that could be in the works, and good Lord willing, we'll see if it works out. We'll see if it works and makes it. There's a lot of activity in Lawrenceburg at this point. A lot of new development, things are happening, and some of our mutual friends are in on some of that kind of stuff. It's kind of neat to watch.
I'm satisfied with what's going on right now, though. If nothing changes, then I'm the most blessed guy.
Yeah.
On the planet for me. Getting to love on the kids, make a kid's smile that you know they wasn't going to get a smile today.
Yeah.
The other thing is the Ella Bowser, the little girl with the kidney transplant.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, tell us about that right quick. We've got enough time for you to kind of fill us in on
Okay,
that.
I wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
I'll do it quickly. Ella Bowser is 6 years old, and she's one of the kids on the route on the ice cream where I've been serving, and went by her house one day, and her mother told me she wasn't going to be there on next Friday. I go by there most of the time on Fridays. Long story short, she's having a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
Well, she had a donor, and that donor sort of fell through. So we done a fundraiser, and thank y'all for helping us with that, because y'all advertised on the radio that we were going to do the fundraiser, and y'all even donated to that. Thank you for that. And fast forward to now, the other donor fell through, but here a while back, got a call that the new donor wanted to meet Ella.
Yes.
And the mother didn't even realize that she had a new donor when we found out.
Yeah.
So the donor ended up being the little girl's mother's best friend from when they were children.
Yeah.
And that's how we took her over there on the ice cream truck, and on the sign, on the truck, a digital sign, we programmed it, hey, Ella, do you want to meet your donor? And the donor was her mother's best friend that she hadn't seen since childhood.
Wow.
So that's in the works. And please pray for Ella. Last Thursday she had a port put in her little belly for dialysis.
Yeah.
So please pray that she's sick, a sick little girl. She's a very sick little girl. And there's also a GoFundMe if you want to go on that our Facebook page, Street Treats Facebook page. We can guide you through what's it called, the GoFundMe.
The GoFundMe.
The GoFundMe on that.
What's her name again?
Her name is Ella Bowser.
Ella Bowser.
Her mother's name is Brooklyn, and you can get the GoFundMe through Brooklyn.
All right. Brooklyn Bowser, Ella Bowser, and Ella is in need of a kidney transplant, which is in the works.
It's in the works. They should be, possibly, prayerfully within the next month.
And, of course, they probably sure are in need of funds.
Oh, yeah.
For the necessities that they're going to, and the medical bills that they're going to face regarding this. How old is Ella?
She's 6.
6 years old.
Yep.
Bless her heart.
Made me a friend. She's my buddy, and I love doing this because of that. Getting to meet these people. It's not about money. It's really not about money.
No, it's not. Well, I was aware of your effort with her and what was going on with that a little bit through our mutual friend, and man, I appreciate you coming in. We run out of time. We could talk for another hour, I'm sure. But Jerry Brawner, everybody, Street Treats is the ice cream truck that he has, the one with the bubbles, and a lot of life and a lot of full life that you've led and you will lead. And I pray God's continued blessings on you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, bud. Thanks
All
a
right.
lot.
We're going to have to go. We'll see you next time. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Not fair to everybody.
That was in Georgia, where Fox's Rich Edson reports.
Georgia has more than doubled its first-day early voting record. The Secretary